Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Maganda Beach in Goa, South India, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to India. You know what? We started off in this empty cafe on the beach, and it was so beautiful and silent. The sun was setting. And now they just turned on this loud, trancey music, and it's driving me a little nuts.
Beach, you see, if you're in Varkala, Raghunath, you would be all set right now.
Prabhu, you don't understand. I'm not going to your jellyfish land, the land of the land of jellyfish.
So much better.
There's so many jellyfish. It's just like you just can't even get in the water without them
flying all over the place,
circling you and just stinging and chomping and attacking, and their tentacles wrapping around your ankles, pulling you underneath while stinging you.
The Kerala Tourist Board is going to have you canceled or something like that.
But anyway, it was completely shanti, and now it's over. But we're going to do the show anyway. How are you?
Doing good, Raghunath. Doing good. Feeling good.
Yeah, good. We're getting ready to make our plan to go to Vrindavan soon.
Oh, when do you go to Vrindavan?
Go to Vrindavan on the 24th, Saturday.
Okay, so that's still a bit away.
Yeah. And we still can't decide if we're going to take a 3-day trip to Humpy. Not positive about that yet.
That ain't happening. I'll believe that when I see
things are really peaceful here, and therefore it's sort of like, why disturb the peace for some adventure? It's sort of like mode of passion versus mode of goodness. Like, why get on a 6-hour train, walk around, find a new place to stay?
Okay.
Yeah, we might just park it. Anyway, how are you? What am I missing out on in your life?
Just having a wonderful time in Mayapur, doing a lot of research, a lot of study with the time I have for the book that I'm working on. Finding a lot of great resources out there. Spending time with Tara, spending a little time with Jivaji Life Coach, going to the temple, chanting my rounds, going to Ganga, the Ganga, like that.
Me and Mara are about to announce the whole new season at Super Soul Farm. Quite exciting, which includes 2 Wisdom of the Sages retreats.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, surprise.
Okay.
We should want to send you those dates.
Okay.
And doing a little book tour in April, booking around, cruising around.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Well, got the pilgrimage, too. I got 2 pilgrimages coming up this August. You want to hear about this? No, autumn, rather. The first one's to India. Check out this itinerary. Tell me what you think. Jagannath Puri, Udaipur, Nathdwar, Rishikesh, Haridwar, Vrindavan. Boom.
I say it again?
Some of my Jagannath Puri.
Yeah.
Udaipur, Nathdwar.
Okay. Yeah.
Rishikesh, Haridwar, Vrindavan.
That's pretty much what you've been doing, except you just
I've been mixing them up, but this is what I like, so I'm doing
that's exactly what you did on the last one, except instead of Jagannath Puri was Varanasi.
I switched out with Varanasi. Exactly. So I need to get another Holy Dom in. So I wanted to go to Jagannath Puri again. Anyway, that's in October 17th to 31st. And then some people are going to stay on with me and go to Nepal. We're going to go trekking through the Himalayas, and that is November 4th through the 16th. And that's a breathtaking trip.
4th through
It's gonna be
16th. Oh boy, that's a
4th through
long
the
stretch of
16th November.
terrible internet.
See where your mind goes immediately. Oh,
Serving the people.
yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. It'll be tough for our listeners.
That's a
But
long stretch.
we'll make it happen. Yeah, I'm gone for a month.
No, but I'm saying even just the time in Nepal seems like quite a few days.
Yeah, Nepal. Yeah, although when we do connect, it's very special. It's a very special time.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, so you can check out my website, raghunath.yoga. Go to, just click on India Pilgrimage. If you want to sign up, if you sign up for both of them, give you $200 discount for both.
Oh,
so I just announced it. Hey, it is moving.
Yeah.
Kidding? These are life-changing
Moving
trips,
out of
my
the
friends.
advertisements. No, those are good, but we gotta briefly. Come on.
All right, so let's go to our nugget, sir.
How about the announcements?
That wasn't announcements. You got more announcements?
But yeah,
Mara's got this. What is on your
Mara gives
phone?
announcements every day. I don't know if you ever noticed that, Raghunath, but for the past 4 years
She's got
or so.
this picture on her phone of me.
I told my phone to shuffle pictures. That's what came up.
Horrible.
It's a horrible picture?
Yeah.
All right, back to our announcements. We have Bhakti Recovery Group meetings today at 1, 2, and 9 p.m. That's Eastern time. And also, we want to wish a happy birthday to our friend Brittany Payne.
Brittany Payne, House of Pain.
House of Pain. And a happy engagement to Kishori Gopi, the bright light, got engaged.
Oh, yeah.
We wish them well. We wish them love.
Okay.
They're in transit
that's
back
big news.
to Vermont right now. I know.
Being engaged to the bright light of Vermont, it's like, what can you say?
What can you say? They're a good couple.
You
All
should
right.
have to what you do is like in the Ishopanishad, you have to pray, please remove your glaring effulgence so that I can see your face.
I can see your face.
I want to marry you,
Okay,
but I can't see you.
Here we go. This is from Marcus Aurelius, is our nugget for the day. I love this one.
Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor
Stoic.
and Stoic philosopher.
Good.
You like this one,
Yeah,
right?
I like it a lot. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. This really resonates with me. Therefore, guard accordingly and take care that you entertain no notions unsuitable to virtue and reasonable nature.
Okay.
Unsuitable to virtue and reasonable nature. I love this. Yeah, that is that's sort of our whole quest, I think, in Bhakti.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to share how I deal with that.
Well, do you want to start? You can start. Do you want?
Yeah, you can start.
I have some questions for you about this.
Okay, tell
Why
me.
don't I'll mention a couple of things. I'm going to ask you some questions. How's that sound?
Sure.
So, I mean, first of all, I like, commonly people say, well, your happiness depends on blank. And generally, it'll point to external things. But I like that he goes to the internal thing. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. I think we live in a day and age where we've become captivated by external things and distractions. And it would do us a whole lot of good if we said, if we were raised, I think we got to start raising people like this.
Sure.
Like in schools and stuff, where we say, hey, we got to think about the quality of our thoughts. That's, and how can we improve the quality of our thoughts? Imagine if everyone were thinking higher level thoughts, and what does it take to get there? So I thought of 3 ways that as Bhakti yogis, we address the quality of our thoughts. And I want to ask you, Raghunath, how on the daily you work towards improving your thoughts in these ways, okay? Because I know that you're a serious Bhakti yoga practitioner. So I thought of 3 things. Content that we consume in the mind.
Okay.
That's going to affect our thoughts.
For sure.
Rituals that we use to direct the mind.
Okay.
And also meditations, right? different things that we
Mhm.
meditate on. So, in your daily life,
Mm.
let's start with content consumed in the mind. How does that? How do
Okay,
you
I get you.
regulate
I
that?
get you. Well, this is a big thing. I think I personally really work on. One key thing I do is I make sure I'm at peace with everybody in my mind. Like I work really hard not to hate and not to resent. And
Okay.
although that sounds, well, like big deal, everybody does that. No, people don't do that. Sometimes people look to be hurt. They look to be offended. And I've even had a situation recently where there was some misunderstanding with someone, and I
Yeah.
apologize. Hey, I'm sorry, that might be a misunderstanding, or they wanted me to do something on a particular date. I couldn't do it, and there was a misunderstanding. And the person wanted to not accept the apology. They want it to be sort of like a Tony Soprano, like once you cross me, it's over, something like that, you know. And the problem
Tony
is
Soprano.
there's like an ego associated with these
Being the victim.
archetypes that we want to be like. Well, it's not even a victim. It's sort of like you want to be like this archetype, like this mafia boss who there is no forgiveness. It's over, and and
Like that
whenever you're
strength.
like that type of strength, I'll teach him that, you're out of my life. You mean nothing to me. Generally, when someone says you mean nothing to me, you mean a lot to them. And you just like you're under their skin. If you really meant nothing, you'd let it go. So one thing I really think is important is you let stuff go on a
Let it
regular
go.
basis. You clear your head and your heart of resentment, of anger, of bitterness, and work on being happy when somebody walks into the room instead of being like, oh, I can't believe they're here. And I do find that once I feel like I'm good at this, the universe always sends me some other situation that I got to work
Next
on. So
challenge.
I think that is an ongoing practice, and I think you get better at it.
Okay.
And it makes the mind peaceful.
Very
And
good.
so that's one
Better
thing.
quality thoughts.
Better quality thoughts. And then another thing is like we do what we do in 6 pillars is we don't criticize, and the converse is we see the good in others. So we're not you sort of get what you're looking for. If I'm looking at an aquarium and I tell Kostuba find the red fish, you'll be looking for that red fish. Or if you're a
You're
gold.
thinking of the red car experiment, aren't you? You know about that?
Yeah, that too, right? You say look for the red car, you find every car that's red, right? Isn't that what the red
In
car
other words,
experiment is?
if you just talk to someone on an average day and you just say, how many red cars did you see on your way here? They're going to have absolutely no idea. But if you say something like, I'm going to give you $20 tomorrow for every red car that you see, then they're going to see every
You're
single
looking
red
for it.
car.
Exactly.
So
So
what you're
people
looking for.
are, yeah, so people are looking for certain things in this world. Sometimes they're looking for sex or for money or for different types of flavors of fun, whatever they consider fun, or sports, or uh, they're getting their ego stroked, or they're into some type of hobby. But if you're looking for problems with other people to
Oh,
endorse your ego,
Roganov,
it's going to be,
the experiment that relates to this, I think we mentioned it once on the show before.
what?
But they had this experiment where they were doing a test where people were supposed to go and submit their resumes and apply for jobs. But before they went, they painted a scar on their face, like a really realistic scar. And then they showed them the scar in the mirror, and they could see it. And so they were going there now with this painted scar on the face. But right as they're about to walk out the door, they said, let us just touch up that scar a little bit. And then they would actually erase the scar. And then they would go and apply for the job and then come back and report how it went. And it was very common that the people were reporting, oh yeah, they were looking right at my scar and they were judging me based on the scar, and they were rejecting me because of the scar, but there was no scar there.
And very
So yeah,
interesting.
our minds do play these games where we see ourselves as victims or see ourselves as being mistreated, or when actually it's not even happening.
Yeah, and I was thinking of just the nature of our own personal insecurity, which comes from various filters that we wear from our past relationships, or
Okay.
broken past relationships. We'll see the world where the only way I can feel solid about myself is if I see problems in other people. So I go out in the world to find fault with people. And if I can find enough fault in them, then it makes me feel whole or makes me feel better. So that's a problematic thinking, and it never keeps my mind at peace. That's one
Okay.
of the that's one of the things. Never keeps my mind
Well,
at peace. Another thing that goes
mhm.
with that is lewd conversation. Lewd
Lewd.
conversation. Lewd conversation. If the mind is always addicted to sexual thoughts, that sexual talk, it keeps the mind. What both those things does is it keeps it keeps the consciousness in body consciousness. You have a society based on bodies, judging bodies, sizing of bodies, and it keeps you on a very, very external platform of, and as you know, as the Bhagavatam would say, of friends or enemies, or people we like, people we don't dislike, and it keeps us out of spiritual vision. So the Bhagavatam is what the Bhagavatam teaches is really how to actually have a peaceful mind. That's one of the symptoms of being God conscious. The mind just becomes peaceful, but it has to go to this subtle level. See people as spiritual beings. See people as beings instead of just things or objects of that we like or dislike. So that's one way, and that's a way in, and we work at it. We're working at it just presently, just by reading the Bhagavatam every day. That's one thing. Those are a
Okay.
couple things that I use. And also training yourself to see good in people and appreciating people and
Okay.
finding
Now,
people's good qualities. That's a different directive, but it's a different, you're searching for gold instead of looking for iron.
all right. You ignored my questions, though.
No, I wasn't. That's the
I wanted
first
you to
question.
answer my questions. Okay.
That was your first question,
Okay.
right?
Now, what about the second question then?
What was the second question?
Rituals to direct the mind.
Rituals. They're spiritual rituals. The spiritual rituals.
I'm asking about you in your life.
Yeah,
I'm not asking for a general
Chant-
thing. I'm on you.
It's okay. Well, this is part of our spiritual practice. Chanting is a ritual we use to direct the mind. It's actually the mantra is to,
I'd say call that more
the
as a
mind.
meditation, but okay. Right.
It can, all these things, all three of these things lap over with each other. But
Okay.
the mantras hold the mind. The worship of the deity is to hold the mind. These are rituals, but they're to hold the mind in place. And so the meditation is now on God and God's form. And then there's singing. This is used to hold the mind. Practically speaking, everything we do in yoga is to hold the mind on the form
No
of
doubt.
God. And so our whole life is to try to get our mind back and not have it sneak away. Wherever the mind wanders due to its unsteady and flickering nature, one must catch it and bring it back under the control of the self. That's the 6th chapter of the Gita. And that's what we're doing with everything that we do, whether it's kirtan, whether it's puja, whether it's chanting the holy name, or whether we're reading and imbibing this stuff, or if our mind is other places. So those are rituals. What's the third one, Prabhu?
Meditations.
Well, interestingly enough, if the mind is clean, see, some bless you, Mary, but you probably want me to say like, well, you're meditating on Krishna or you're chanting japa, but I'm not going to say that, because Stu, I'm not going to give you what you want. I really think
you're really being presumptuous here. Right. Okay.
Well, that's because you jumped on my number 2 and said, well, that's meditation. No, I think meditation, I think things like money, sex, food, intoxicants, whatever. These can be meditations for people, or they're.
But I'm asking meditations that you do to improve the quality of your thoughts. Uh-oh, he froze out on me. Yeah. Okay, people. Hopefully we're going to get Raghunath to come back. Every show is a challenge. But, when I was thinking about, Raghunath mentions, rituals to direct the mind, and he mentioned, the rituals that we do in the temple, like the deity worship. And I was just thinking about this today, is that I think it's coming from people that are not coming from an Eastern traditions, but people that are coming from Western traditions, Judeo-Christian or Islamic traditions. When they see a temple, it must be very difficult to understand what's going on. And it must seem like a primitive act wherein people think, oh, this piece of wood or this stone is God, and if we don't appease the God, then bad things will happen to us. And there may be some people that actually approach it that way, but really what it has to do with is this improving the quality of your thoughts. In other words, the idea is that by seeing the form and by performing ritual that is meant to direct the mind in a particular direction, it's really all about cultivating a mood of selflessness, cultivating a mood of devotion, cultivating a mood of kindness, cultivating a mood of seeing people equally, cultivating a mood of seeing God in everyone. It's really about directing the mind through ritual to higher levels of thought. And so really, if you look at like, what is a temple? A temple is like a place where the people are supposed to come and spend a little time of every day to uplift their thoughts, so that while you're in there, your thoughts are on a very high level, and when you walk out of there, your thoughts remain higher. And by doing that every day, actually you begin to develop the thoughts of a person who embodies kindness, the thoughts of a person who has peace of mind, the thoughts of a person who can see God in every living being. And so I like Marcus Aurelius's approach to finding happiness, that he's saying it has to do with the quality of your thoughts. And I love how the yoga traditions, and especially how the Bhakti yoga tradition, has so many well-designed meditations, so many well-designed rituals that are provided as practical ways to improve the quality of our thought. And so anyway, that's what I was taking from that. I'm hoping Raghunath is going to pop in any minute, but honestly, it's very difficult to say. I might be doing this one on my own. So why don't I go ahead and get us started with our opening shlokas, opening mantras that we chant. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being.
The supermost human being.
Okay.
Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning.
Yes, and?
Srila Vyasadeva, the author.
That's right.
Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Midatam Nena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and the teachers in my life have been opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Yeah, that's the same thing, Kastuba. All that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated.
Yeah.
That's what happens in Bhakti Yoga. When we say the heart, we mean the mind is now at peace. Yeah. The mind's at peace. When the mind's at peace, then you can start to connect with the soul. Otherwise, the soul just gets covered over. Everything that we're doing is to develop peace of mind. But then in Bhakti, you just take it to the next level. I'm sorry I missed your insights and your magic formula and recipes for how to deal with the mind. But we had a blackout here at the Sunset Cafe.
Yeah, I know. It's okay.
And we're back. We're back.
You ready to get into
Srimad Bhagavatam?
I thought we
Kanto
might be
7.
Go ahead.
Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Kanto 7, Chapter 4, Text 35.
Yeah, and I was thinking that we might be due for a bit of a recap. It's been a while, right? You okay there, Ragnar?
Yeah. Give us a recap. I'm just trying to get them to turn the music down.
We can't hear
what we have to do to keep this podcast going. You can't hear it? Okay. It's so
No.
loud right now.
Okay. So in chapter 1, we started the 7th canto. I think we started it at the towards the beginning of January. So we're about a little over a month in. And in chapter 1, the questioner in Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj Pariksit, is asking Shukadeva Goswami, is Krishna partial? Right? It seems like, because from the previous canto, we saw, it seemed like he's favoring the devas over the asuras, right? And
Yeah.
is God partial? Does he play favorites? And Shukadeva Goswami spoke about this interesting idea that even the asuras, even when they're killed by Krishna, due to their absorption in him, they receive liberation. And so this was shown through a conversation between Narada and King Yudhishthir at the Rajasuya sacrifice, just after Krishna killed the demon Shishupal. And everyone saw the soul of Shishupal enter into the body of Krishna. So then Narada, following that thread, Narada spoke about how Hiranyakashipu, how Jai and Vijay, the gatekeepers of Vaikuntha, were cursed by the 4 Kumaras, these great boy sages, to have to take birth in the material world 3 times in the families of the asuras, the family of the demons. And among them is Hiranyakashipu. And Yudhishthir was asked about how is it that Hiranyakashipu, this universal powerful demon, had such animosity for his son Prahlad. Because generally fathers, they
love their kids.
They love their kids. They're sympathetic to their kids. And so chapter 2 began with Hiranyakashipu speaking to his relatives about not lamenting about the death of his brother who was killed by Lord Vishnu, right? Hiranyaksha. And in his speaking to his relatives, he shared the story of how Yamaraj, the god of death, took the form of a young boy and went and spoke to the wives of King Suyagna, who had just been killed on the battlefield, and spoke such clear, Atmagyana, knowledge of the nature of the self, how we're eternal, and so on. And in chapter 3, we had Hiranyakashipu doing severe austerities to receive boons from Lord Brahma that essentially, he thought, were essentially making him immortal. And we saw how he took over the universe. He's tormenting the devas and everyone else. And it was mentioned that although he had everything, he still was dissatisfied because his senses were uncontrolled, right? So with Hiranyakashipu tormenting everyone, the devas approach Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu assures them that when Hiranyakashipu torments his son Prahlad, the pure devotee Prahlad, that Vishnu will put an end to Hiranyakashipu. And that brings us pretty much up to where we are now. Just what we began to hear is now the description of Sri Prahlad. Who is he? What are his qualities? And so this chapter kind of where we started, or where we ended before, and the rest of it really has to do with the qualities of Prahlad. We heard in text 31 and 32 that his senses were perfectly controlled. His mind was perfectly at peace. He was very kind. He was very respectful. He gave shelter to others. He had very deep friendships, and he was free from all pride, even though he had so many wonderful qualities. And so we're kind of picking up after that right now. What text are we on today? The 35. 35, okay.
In any assembly where there are discourses about saints and devotees, O King Yudhisthira, even the enemies of the demons, namely the demigods, what to speak of you, would cite Prahlad Maharaj as an example of a great devotee. Who could list the innumerable transcendental qualities of Prahlad Maharaj? He had unflinching faith in Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, and unalloyed devotion to him. His attachment to Lord Krishna was natural because of his previous devotional service. Although his good qualities cannot be enumerated, they prove that he was a great soul, a Mahatma.
Okay.
Text 37. From the very beginning of his childhood, Prahlad Maharaj was uninterested in childish playthings. Indeed, He gave them up altogether and remained silent and dull, being fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Since his mind was always affected by Krishna consciousness, he could not understand how the world goes on being fully absorbed in the activities of sense gratification. Prahlad Maharaj was
this is an interesting verse and an interesting commentary by Srila Prabhupada. But you know, I think you're going to find this interesting, Raghunath.
Yeah.
It mentions here that his mind, he was fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, since his mind was always affected by Krishna consciousness. And the language that's used to describe that, his mind always being affected by Krishna consciousness, the term used here is Krishna Graha Grihitatma. So Krishna Graha, what does Graha mean?
Planet?
Yeah, planet, right?
Ah, so, right.
You nailed it, right?
I surprised myself.
Actually, the definition of Graha is in the Sanskrit dictionary, it says seizing, laying hold of, or holding. Or it can be used to describe, to refer to a planet, because in Vedic astrology, it's understood that the planets have this seizing or influence, you know, they seize us or they influence our destiny in a supernatural manner. So when it says Krishna Graha, means his mind was being influenced by Krishna, like Krishna was in his life like this planetary influence. And Grihita Atma means whose mind was fully attracted. So I thought a lot about this, actually, you know, because you know, planets, you know, they have their, according, if you're a believer in astrology, and it's a fascinating science, you know, people will, you know, we're not talking about like when you and I were growing up, you know, I suppose it's still
some lady sitting at a window with like a bandana on and a crystal ball.
Yeah, or I was just thinking of, you get the newspaper and every day would have like a little, you know, astrological thing that really hadn't. It was almost like it had about the accuracy and the sophistication of like a fortune cookie, maybe, or something like that.
Although I do find fortune cookies work.
Okay.
I really do believe in fortune cookies. But you know, no, for example, I had a good friend in my life who was suffering in their moon was in Rahu, and they couldn't understand why they were so depressed. And they went to an astrologer and said, yeah, you got the moon in Rahu. Of course you're going to be depressed. It's going to last for a while because the moon and Rahu are enemies, and it's going to go on until this day, and then it's going to relieve you. But sometimes we think there's some external thing happening, but it's actually, these are celestial things that are happening within. You can call them within the body, or you can give them. We give them we give them names of things we can understand. Well, you've got a chemical imbalance, but there's higher forces that work with us and work against us in the same way the moon affects the tides of the ocean. The moon affects a woman's menstrual cycle. The moon affects the mind. So these other planets are also affecting on us a deeper way. That sometimes they seem like this seems so far-fetched, but it's true.
And so, as you're saying, like sometimes someone's going through just a difficult period in life, and it seems like no matter what they try to do, they just can't shake it. It's like, I got this cloud hanging over me, you know? And as you're saying, you know, a good astrologer, someone that actually knows what they're doing, can identify the reasons why that might be. And they can also even identify when it's going to ease up, you know? But, and you know, to understand how to apply this astrology, particularly for a bhakti yogi, you know, it's not that we get too caught up in it, but we might consult it in a way. But sometimes there are influences in our life that we can't, like, you can't change the moment that you're born and the place that you're born. So the stars that you're born under, and that's going to play out in your life in a particular way. And that's something that you can't change. Sometimes, like, let's say now another interesting Vedic science is Vastu, right? Which is, you know, it's the same kind of thing like an astrologer would study, is the science of space and how it's used particularly in architecture, right? And
Did you see
it's
that
very,
thing I posted on my Instagram stories with the Trivandrum temple? And every different time the sun goes through the different holes in that pyramid shaped temple throughout the course of the day. Amazing.
oh, you mean
So
in the
all
temple
these,
gates in the
I guess
Gopurams?
yeah. It was quite
Right.
amazing.
Yeah.
You could tell
Yeah,
time through it, basically.
they were great, they were great astrologers, going back, many, many,
Astro-
many, many centuries.
Astronomers, yes,
Yeah, well,
and
astronomers, yeah,
astrologers, and
and
astrologers.
astrologers, yeah. And so, we can't we when you design a building, the way that in the Vedic culture they would design a building would be consulting this Vastu, and they have the Vastu Purusha. What is it called? The Vastu Purusha.
Vastu Purusha.
Yeah, the Vastu Purusha, but the kind of the diagram that they make. What is it called? The Vastu Purusha.
I think that's what's called the Vastu Purusha.
What's called
And
the
you're like
Vastu Purusha something.
like your kitchen cannot be in the northeast, right? Your kitchen cannot be facing north. I think that's what it is. Or there will be fire in the household. There'll always be fighting in the household.
Well, yeah, they have different things. So, and it's the Vastu Purusha is like picture a grid, a square grid.
Yeah.
And the Purusha means the person, so it's the Vastu person, and he's in this position like picture someone with their squatting,
Yeah.
with their hands like like prayer, like in a prayer position up against their chest, and his head is leaning into the northeastern corner of that grid, and his toes, his legs are bent, and his soles of his feet are together and pointing towards the
He's like in a little box.
southwestern.
He's trapped in a little box.
So he's all boxed in, yeah. And so then all around that, in each one of the squares on the outer edges of that grid, the different devas are placed. And so there's a whole science of like, according to the different devas, what you place in your home. Like you're saying, the kitchen should be in a certain area, the bathroom should be in a certain area, the bedroom, all of that.
Ideally, you're building your
house
house according to it, right? Ideally, you're building your house. Nowadays, we find an apartment. Oh, there's an apartment. I'll take it. Or we move into a housing development. And it's not like those guys who are building Levittown, Long Island, are using Vastu to build their houses. They're saying, okay, here's our land. We're going to set up the houses like this. And here's going to be the little, what do you call this? Turnaround. What do they call this?
Cul-de-sac?
No, where the cul-de-sac. Here's the cul-de-sac. Yeah, it's just like they're just laying it out in a grid. However, many houses they can shove in there. But anytime there's a great piece of architecture, actually throughout the world, be it the pyramids or the pyramids from Central America, or they're all done with the celestial bodies in mind.
And so, as you're saying, we may not have the luxury or the privilege or the ability to have a house that's built according to Vastu. There's certain things about that house we won't be able to change, but there are ways to bring in influences that you can customize, right? So, for instance,
have a list of them.
Well, I was thinking, for instance, like if your home, like let's say your home isn't designed according to it, but what you can do is you can place yantras, right? And yantras are like these. It's almost like placing planets in your home, but you can choose where you want to put them.
It's a whole thing. People who get into this, they do the craziest things with their houses. Have you ever done anything like that?
I once had Gadadhar Prabhu stay in my home, so he was really into the science of Vastu, so he gave me some yantras and he told me where to place them.
Oh, really? Did you lift the table up off the floor a little bit? Did you ever see people do that?
No.
For their Vastu? That's a whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. But here's the point: the idea is there's certain things that we can't change. We can't change the time and the place that we were born. You might not be able to change your house, but you can place yantras in your house in different places, and you might not be able to change the time that you're born. You might not be able to change certain astrological influences in your life, but what you can do is you can make Krishna that Krishna Graha in your life, right?
The Krishna planet.
Yes, yeah. Like in other words, this was Prahlada Maharaj's life, is that he was Krishna Graha Grahita Atma, that he was being influenced by this by this Krishna Graha. It was like one big, huge, auspicious planet that his life was centered around, you know? And so we all have the ability to do that. And that is, going back to Marcus Aurelius, that is how we can improve the quality of our thoughts. Let me get this very powerful, regardless, we may consult astrology to some degree or some not. Generally, we're not going to get too caught up in it as bhakti yogis. But what we do get caught up in is the main thing, right? The main thing is I want the Krishna Graha. The main thing is that I want to have my mind be moving in the direction, be influenced by that planet in my life, and I need to make that planet central. Like put it right in the center of the house.
And it brings all auspiciousness to every facet of our life.
Yeah.
Whether we're going through great times, troubled times, we have family, we're single, whatever it is, adding that Krishna planet to your life, it has a tangible effect on your consciousness, and people see it in you. People see that, like, you bring good fortune to other people.
And that's exactly what we're hearing about Prahlada. That, he had that planet, that was his, what do you call it? Like your guiding star, that was ascending, influence in his life, was that his mind was strongly influenced by being drawn towards Krishna. Maybe you can read the commentary, Rhoda.
Sure. This Prahlada Maharaj is the vivid example of a great person, fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. It said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, a fully Krishna conscious person, although situated in this material world, does not see anything but Krishna, anywhere and everywhere. This is the sign of a Mahabhagavat. The Mahabhagavat sees Krishna everywhere because of his attitude of pure love for Krishna.
Now, can we talk about that for a second?
Sure.
What does that mean? Like you're seeing Krishna everywhere? How do you understand that?
Well, as you add Krishna to your life, then everything becomes Krishna centered. In the same way, you can see that in your life by the same way people see other things as the center. People who are very focused on how can I make money? I should be making more money. Then everything they do, every person they meet, they're always, this isn't a critique. This is just how meditation and the mind works. You think, okay, how could this relationship lead to me making money? How could this, okay, there's some land for sale there. How could I make money out of that land? Someone's selling that. I wonder if I could buy that cheap and then sell it. So everything, and the same as if you're looking at, when I was young, skateboarding, I could skate on that. I could grind on that, or whatever it is, whatever your mind is focused on, you're going to be putting that there. So if you really start developing your mind in Krishna, then you'll start to you see a flower. Oh, that flower is for Krishna. Your work. Oh, that's for Krishna. Oh, I made some money. How can I use this to serve Krishna? Everything becomes Krishna conscious. It's actually such a great phrase, Krishna conscious, instead of sex conscious, money conscious, enemy conscious, drug conscious. People into drugs. That's a meditation too. They're always looking for that drug or alcohol. Whatever it is, that's the focus. Give me drugs, give me drugs. Yeah. give me a husband, give me a wife. I want kids, and now I need kids. I can't have kids. And all these things, they're not even necessarily good or bad. Sometimes they're very bad, but it's sort of like they consume our consciousness.
Right.
So we're in the process of trying to make ourselves Krishna conscious. And I will say this, me and Mara, whenever we eat, we've been eating very nicely here, light but nice. And then every time we eat, we read the Chaitanya Bhagavat together. And it's just because when you add something like we're going to read together, first of all, it makes the relationship very sweet. But then you always get people coming up to you like, oh, what are you reading? Oh, tell us about what you're reading. And it puts auspiciousness at the center of your life. So I'm just finding just by reading every day while we're here, it's not just affecting me, it is affecting me, but it's also affecting everybody around me. And it's making, if you're feeling like you're having a tough day at all, add some hearing and chanting, add some reading to your life, just even if it's 15 minutes.
Right?
Bring that Krishna planet into your life, and you're going to change your day, and you're going to have fond memories of that day, even if things aren't like working out well. a matter of fact, it wipes away your anxiety. If you feel like, I'm hoping to get a raise, I'm hoping this is going to happen, I hope this person calls me back, just add Krishna, make that the first deepest connection. And then Krishna will take care. And that starts to melt your anxiety, and it puts your faith back in Krishna, your trust back in Krishna, instead of my great, design I have for myself. I have some puny design for myself, but Krishna's got some much greater plan. And when I really trust that Krishna's got my back, Krishna knows what I need and when I need it. Don't sweat it, Raghunath. Krishna's going to take
There you
care of
go.
it. And so by investing that trust in Krishna, it makes everything, it makes all your anxiety melt as well. Makes everything auspicious.
No, I like that, Raghunath. And we
Thank you.
can look to in so many places. Like for instance, you look to the Gita, like 15th chapter. Krishna says, "I'm the splendor of the sun. I'm the splendor of the moon. I enter into each planet, and by my energy, they stay in orbit. I become the moon, and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. I'm the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the 4 kinds of foodstuffs. I'm seated in everyone's heart." So this is the way. It's saying here, Prahlada Maharaj saw the word, but a Mahabhagavat, a great devotee, they're seeing Krishna everywhere. There's nothing that they see disconnected, because it's all Krishna's energy, and he's directing it all on multi levels. So they're moving through the world with that awareness, and that's called Krishna consciousness. And they also see Krishna within their own heart, which is what's spoken about here next, as confirmed in Brahma Samhita.
And okay.
Go ahead. You want to share something?
I was thinking about something, like all the planets, although the planets are beings, Chandra's a being, and Saturn, Shani is a being, and they're all beings, but there's also a Vishnu connected with each planet as well. And I was thinking in our life too, we become, so the planets will have an effect, but also God is behind those planets. So I'm thinking in our own life, we have some karma that we're dealing with, but when we invite God into our life, even the inauspicious things become deeply connected to God, and they become that's why they become all auspicious. They become quite wonderful. Even things that appear like tragedies, which we hear about in the Bhagavatam again and again, tragedies that make a person completely, shed their false ego. Where's our pain? Our pain is in my broken ego. That's that's where the whole thing is. My pain is my pain doesn't come from me getting rid of my ego and endorsing or strengthening my ego and feeding my ego. Okay, now I have money, now I have success, now I have beauty. It comes from like realizing that that's not even me anyway. And sometimes it takes something tragic to to go through that. Just like we have this beautiful question by Tomas from Germany, who's going through some medical, bodily issue where he's like, oh, man, I might have something serious, cancer or something like that. And he was calling up, how should I look at this? How can I get rid of that anxiety? And our answer was quite simple. And, we don't, I talked to him a lot afterwards, by the way. We wrote each other, but it was like, we do what we do on a normal basis is we add more Krishna to our life. We add more Krishna, and we stop relying on our good karma to make us happy. And a lot of us listening to the show right now, we're born in the Western world. We're born affluent, perhaps. We're born with, we could go anywhere we want. We're not destitute. We're not running for our life for the most part. So when we have a lot of good karma, we don't like lean into Krishna that much. I just lean into my credit score, my bank account, or my American Express card. But when things get tough, then I feel like my whole life is falling apart. And that's when, so my point to him in the Q&A yesterday was, we lean into Krishna in times like this. And what it does is it sheds the false me. It sheds the, like, that's right. I'm not, he's a tall, good looking German surfer, yoga teacher. We're not any of those things. We are a tiny spirit soul with a very breakable body, a very fragile body. And our only connection is to get to this point of destitution where we can, with all sincerity, reach out to Krishna. Krishna, you're my Lord. I'm yours. What would you like from me? It's our practice. We
Thank
love you,
Raghunath.
Thomas. Yeah. Okay. Where were we? You want to still keep going with that purport?
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and, or well, there's 3 minutes left, so maybe we pick up this purport tomorrow.
Okay, that's nice. All right, Miss Mara, have you been knitting away, or you been taking notes here?
Both. I got some good stuff here today.
All right.
Guard your thoughts to improve the quality of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Tan your body to do what?
Improve the quality of your life.
Improve the quality of your skin.
Clear your head and heart of resentment, anger, and bitterness.
Clear your head and heart, people.
We find what we're looking for, so search for the good in people.
Yeah, you'll find the bad. That's there too. But who wants to be like that? Who wants to be that guy?
Don't let lewd conversations keep us in body consciousness.
Don't be a lewd loser. How about that?
That's good.
That's a better T-shirt.
Let Krishna be your planetary influence.
It's a good word,
Yeah.
isn't it? Lewd. Don't be so lewd. We all know what it means. We all know. Every guy's like, yeah, I gotta stop being lewd. Don't be lewd. How about that? No more being lewd, men. Women aren't lewd. They've got their own issues, but generally they're not so lewd, huh? What do you think,
Women
man? Are
can
you
get
lewd? Women can get lewd?
Okay, yeah.
I think they can be, but it's not their default.
They're less prone.
Invasive, I think, is maybe what
No,
it is.
women have their own issues, and generally that's not one of them. Men, they live in lewd. They're knee deep in lewd, like a sand pit of lewdness. Men, correct me if I'm wrong, please. Just please write on the message board. I'm looking at all the men right now. Yeah, they're all just like looking at the floor, like ashamed.
Just add Krishna to melt your anxiety.
Okay. Yes, that works.
Men seem to be pretty quiet on
Yeah, the men are
board all of a sudden.
going wrestling.
You know, I
match
looked
with
up lewd in the
lewdness.
dictionary, Raghunath.
Yeah.
And it uses a female example. She began to gyrate to the music and sing a lewd song. See
They're always blaming women.
that?
What does lewd mean? Karuna wants to know.
Crude and offensive.
Lewd's a type of food. Don't worry about it, Karuna. It's a type of American snack.
Trust Krishna has your back and knows exactly what you need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Invite God in and life becomes all auspicious.
Like a
Invite-
big auspicious planet.
Like a big auspicious planet. Yes.
Our pain is in our broken egos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Stop relying on our good karma for our happiness.
Ooh. That's an important one.
Especially if you
Right?
don't have any good karma. You really got to like
Yeah,
throw that idea.
Then you're really struggling. Well, what you do is you're like, how can I get good karma? You're desperately thinking, how can I get good karma?
And
Oh, this is the end. Ready?
Mm.
And oh, thank you. You changed my picture on your phone.
just changed it. Just shuffled it. But isn't that a good one?
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah. Don't live in lewd.
Don't live in
Don't
lewd.
what?
Live in lewd.
Don't live in lewd, dude. How about that? Don't live in lewd, dude. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We did it. Another day in Goa. Thanks, everybody. Remember, go to my website, raghunath.yoga. Check out India or Nepal or Nepal. You could do both of those. Martine's going to come. Oh, right. That'd be great if Martine and her husband. And Bart. Let's get Karuna to go. And Wisdom of Sages retreat in Italy and at Super Soul Farm. Jennifer Bear. I
Hey.
think it's right up Jennifer Bear's alley, actually.
Speaking of Jennifer, MH is here over. It looks like she's on the train or something like that.
Who?
MH.
Who's MH?
MH.
Oh, Marie Helene. Hello, Marie Helene. Oh, hi. She was a pleasant surprise. Whenever there's somebody joining the training I don't know, I'm always like, okay, who the heck is this gonna be coming here with all their baggage? She was so sweet. We loved having you. You were just like a bucket of positive energy from the day one, Marie.